Hello, hello. Welcome back to Hobby Hangout, Slay the Gray, painting, whatever you want to call it. My name's Sam. Welcome back to Big Nerds Wargaming, where every Monday evening I paint a miniature and talk through what I'm doing as I'm doing it, for your entertainment, or possibly you'll pick something up. Anyways, I do this every Monday evening at 7 p.m. Central Time, so if you want to catch me any week, that's where you'll find me. Also, we do new videos every other week, usually at the end of the week, Thursday through Saturday. They usually come out, and they range from painting tutorials, crafting videos, or battle reports, anything in miniature wargaming. So if that's what you're into, subscribe to the channel and be on the lookout for that stuff. Recently, video came out the other day about painting white armor, so be sure to check that out. Okay, so today I am painting Eldrad. Eldrad Ulthran, the big wig in the Eldar craft world scene. So yeah, let's just jump right into it. So I have him primed with black, so I'm gonna go around the whole model and make sure that he's got a nice even black coat all around. Just adjusting my windows, bear with me 1 minute so I can see the chat when that comes through, as well as I have a reference picture of Eldrad because I don't really know his armor, his color scheme by heart quite yet, so just making sure I have something to use as reference, which I'll be basing this off. So I'm going for like the box art GW style on this guy. Okay, so we're gonna start with Abaddon Black. All around, just gonna thin this out real good and make sure we have a nice base black coat over everything, and then we'll go from there. So I'm hoping that this will paint up pretty quickly. He's a smaller model. He's got a lot of same color all around, but we'll see. He's got a lot of like little details on him. I bet you that black highlighting might take a little bit longer than I'm anticipating, but we'll see how far we get, and if we finish it up, great. If not, I'll just be wrapping it up next week. So I'll have something to paint next week. And if I do finish it this week, then I'll find something else to paint because I have a ton of miniatures that need paint. So no issues of running out of miniatures there. So just got a pretty big brush here and going around with some watered down Abaddon Black. I'm gonna go all around the model. Now they do say, I keep saying they do say to paint the whole model, even if you've base coated it with a spray rattle can primer, because the colors don't match perfectly. So I usually don't do that for black because I tend to get a pretty good coverage, but in this case he's got like pretty flowing robe on him, so it's kind of hard to get a nice even base coat with the primer. So I'm just gonna go over the whole thing and make sure that we have a good even coverage of black everywhere, and then we'll go on from there. So it will get more interesting, I assure you, but this is all just part of the process. The brushes I'm using are they say Kolinsky Sable brushes. I picked them up from my local game store a while back. They are pretty decent. I also have a set of Army Painter. They're standard brushes. I don't have like their fancy ones. As well as some Citadel standard brushes. Some of their their synthetic bristle ones, and a couple of their other ones. Not their artisan ones, although those look pretty nice. I don't know if I can justify the price, where I feel like I can get a similar quality for brush from a third party without paying the Games Workshop price for their brushes. But their synthetic ones, I think they're called the STC line, those are actually pretty decent. They don't last as long, but for the price, you can get a good amount, a good use out of them. And then when they start to fray a little bit, I'll use those for washes or even contrast paints, or some metallics, as long as I don't need a super fine tip, because those types of paints tend to be a little bit harder on brushes. So I like to save some of my older brushes, junk brushes I call them, for those kinds of applications. Alright, so just watering down some more paint. Trying out a slightly different camera angle, so that you can see some of my palette as well as what I'm working on. It's a little bit closer to me, a little bit easier to work, so we're hoping for less mistakes this time around. So I'm just gonna make sure this is nice and watered down, because I don't want to cover up a lot of these details with too much paint, so that, because it's got a lot of nice detailing here in this wraith bone cuirass or chest plate shirt thing he's wearing. So I want to make sure we preserve that detail as I go around with the Abaddon Black, just to get that base coat all down. I'm wondering what I'm going to work on next after this base coat. I'm thinking probably getting these other robes of his. So he's got like 2 layers of robe, and I think the inside of them are going to be tan. I actually don't know, based off of this picture, what the back of his robes here are supposed to be, what color those are. Unfortunately, Games Workshop removed the 360 view from their website, so I can't really spin him around to see what he looks like from every angle. Well, I should correct myself. They may have removed it from most of their listings. I don't know if some do and some don't, but the one for Eldrad at least does not have that nice 360 view. So if anybody knows what the back color of his outer robe needs to be, let me know. Otherwise, I might have to do a little bit of digging on the internet before we get there, just because I want to make sure that he's all painted up to, you know, some good lore standards. I'm a huge fan of lore paint schemes. Not to say that you shouldn't make your own custom Space Marine chapter or whatnot. That's awesome that you do, but if you're going to be painting Blood Angels or Ultramarines or Biltan or Uthway, Craft World, you know, I think it's good to have them be their proper colors, just to help preserve the lore. And then other people, when they see them, you know, they see it and say, okay, those are Ultramarines. They're blue. They're the right shade of blue, you know, etc. And I'm kind of more of a narrative player, anyways. That's my preference. So I like to, and I love the 40k lore. So I like to kind of set my models in that setting as much as possible. Just makes it more enjoyable and interesting for me. Okay, so we have Eldrad all colored up. So now I'm going to do the same on this base that he came with. So he's standing on some Eldar ruins here. So I'm going to add a little bit of texture paint to this base as well, just in some of those areas around the edge to fill in the rest of the gaps. And I think I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Worry about getting a nice Oh, maybe I do. There's some gray plastic showing, so I should get at least something down before we build up the colors. I mean, we already started this off pretty proper, so we're gonna see it through the right way. Just take our time. No rush to get this model finished this week, tonight. So we're just gonna work our way through it patiently. Sometimes I get a little impatient when I'm painting, just because I have quite a few models I want to get painted, and I just love seeing them finished and moving on to the next thing. Which is also why I collect a few different armies, just so I have some variety in what I build and paint. Just gonna get a nice base coat of Abaddon Black everywhere on the model, and we'll move on to something more interesting, I promise. But this is a necessary evil that we must go through. And then the fun will begin. The real fun. I mean, I'm having fun right now, but it'll be more fun. Okay, gonna wash off my brush, and let's just quick check our stream health, make sure that we are all good there. Excellent stream quality. That's what I like to see. I'm a little tired today, still adjusting to the daylight savings time change, so if I seem a little out of it, that is why. I am in good spirits otherwise. Okay, I'm gonna do a little sleuthing on the internet for Eldrad. Okay, I think he's got a dark cloak all around. Every image I see of him, he's facing this angle where you can't see the backside of this outer cloak. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be black all around. Yeah, it is. Okay. I found one where he's turned around. Perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get to work here. So I'm gonna get on this inside part of his cloak. We're gonna paint that kind of a tan color. So I'm thinking we need a base color. I guess we'll start with Steel Legion Drab, and then layer on some Ushadi Bone, perhaps. I just don't want to, or maybe I could just do Ushadi Bone straight on there. I'm just worried that might need a thicker color to go on first. Maybe something a little bit later. Like maybe Taller and Sand. I wonder how well this one covers. It is a layer paint, but not all layer paints are created equal. Some cover much better than others. They're kind of almost in the base paint realm. But at least getting something down before I start layering on the Ushadi Bone, I think, will help us out there. Right, so I'm just going to get some of this on my palette. Still got the big brush. I'm going to try to use this as much as possible to save some time. It's got a pretty good tip to it, so I'm going to get some paint on there. And then I'm going to add some water to thin it down a bit. I don't want to put this on too thick. A little bit more water. Yeah, that consistency feels good. So Start applying that. Yeah, I think that'll work. Just getting some darker coats down so that the shiny bone will cover nicely. Nicer. It'll cover nicer. Actually, I should probably get this outer sash too. Because it's going to be more of a yellow color. So, getting that lightened up will make those later steps a little bit easier. I'm just going to bring the camera back a little bit. So we can see what I'm working on. This is much nicer. Having the model much closer to me. It's a little bit more natural posture. Similar to how I paint off camera. Just going to get some Tellerant sand. The inner part of this cloak. I got some on his boot. That's okay. The inner part here. I'm not worrying too much about getting paint on some of these I don't know what you want to call them. Bling he's got hanging all around him. Because I'm gonna go back and paint that anyways. But I do want to try to be neater. Okay. And if I get some lighter color on the black part of the cloak where it's supposed to be black, that's okay. I'm not gonna sweat it. I'll go back and touch that up. Just getting these harder to reach places first. Yeah, these inner cloaks are kind of a pain. This is precisely why I did not glue him to the base, just so I could get in here. I got him on my handy dandy 3D printed sub-assembly stand. Hopefully I use a little less super glue this time than I did on my Space Marine Lieutenant. I don't know if you saw me last stream, I kind of stabbed myself with my knife, kind of removing, cut the excess plastic off from the assembly stand that stuck to the power pack. So I used too much super glue. Alright, so we're going to get the inside of this cloak. Trying very carefully not to get on the inner robe. It's pretty good. Oh man, this is an awkward angle to paint. Oh, I hit some Abaddon black that had not fully dried. I had thought it all dried. So after I get this first layer down, I will go back and maybe I'll focus on the base for a little bit, just to allow this some time to dry. I suppose I did water down that Abaddon black quite a bit. That's okay. Try to get in there as well as possible. And let's see here. Where does this color terminate? I see. Looks like it goes kind of over the shoulders. We'll go to the mold line where the seam is, and we'll transition into black. I think that'll work nicely. Just gonna get this edge here. Okay, first coat down. That's looking pretty good. It's already starting to look much better. We'll build that color up. We're gonna come back to Eldrad in a second. Just give that a little bit to dry. We're gonna put some texture paint on this base, and for that we're gonna use. I got some Sterling Battlemire. That feels like it's empty. Let's use some Sterling Mud. Yeah, there's some in here. I gotta give this a good shake though. These Citadel texture paints are great. They're a little expensive, but the cracked earth effects are good. It's just nice having something with a sand texture that you can just slap on something real quick. And then, you know, in 30-40 minutes it's dry, ready for more layers. Versus, you know, working with sand and glue, that's usually a 24-hour process, waiting for it to dry fully and getting sealed up. Yeah, so I like to do both, but definitely use the texture paints for most of my stuff. Alright, so I'm just gonna use my little Citadel plastic trowel tool, which is a good tool, by the way. I would have never bought this, but I got it in the Imperium magazine, this one issue, so I thought I'd use it. And it actually works surprisingly very well, as opposed to a brush. And then you don't get your brushes all junked up with the sand and the paint. So that's always a plus. Just going to get some texture paint all around the part of the base that is still exposed. There's some really far deep in there, but I'm not going to worry about that because you won't see it when Eldrad's fixed upon it. So remember that it's just a base. It's not where the attention is going to be. It's going to be on Eldrad himself. Very old character. He made an appearance in a recent 40k novel I read. What was it? Or a 30k novel, I mean, Horus Heresy. It was, shoot. Unremembered Empire. I almost forgot what book it was. Joke. Alright. I'm gonna get some more of this Talaran sand on my palette. I'm gonna do another coat of this, and then we'll move on to Shoddy Bone and start adding those layers. And we'll see how it looks. Maybe start to go lighter. So I think, yeah, we'll just see how it looks. Maybe I'll mix some Shoddy Bone with some Wraith Bone, just to lighten up the color on the cloak a bit more. Alright, so we're going to start over here on this side. And just build up that inner cloak color. This is fun because my craft world is Beltan. So this will be my first craft world Uthway model. I do like that they made some of the characters. I guess in the rules they got rid of some of the sub-faction keywords like they had in the 9th edition codexes, or 8th edition I should say, where you're either You know, this craft world which has this ability, or this one that has this ability, they kind of made it a little bit more universal or generic in that sense, so you can mix and match, which I like and I don't like, but I think I like it more than I don't like it, because it lets me use Eldrad in my army without it being an Ulthran army. And I don't get punished for it rules-wise, so that's always a plus. Just gonna get the inside of this cloak over here. This one's kind of harder to reach. Position this. Oh, I think this is a good angle. Oh wow, I found a whole section that I missed on my first pass. It's a very flowy cloak with a lot of hidden folds. Might even need a third coat just to fully cover this. And it's really hard to get all up in there. Alright. It's looking a bit better. I'm happy with it so far. Just a couple spots that need some touch up. Back here where I only got one coat on a spot I missed on my first coat, so I'll just let this dry a little bit. Watch. Should be careful. Don't want them to go flying off of here. I just glued them on before I hit the stream button, so the super glue is a little fresh still. Okay. Oh, the sword's gonna be interesting. I'm looking at it. They did a non-metallic metal. We'll see if I can. I think I'll give it a shot. I did it on my Terminator Librarian, and it turned out alright, and I think I got some good reference here I'm looking at, so I think I'm gonna give this a shot too. So we're gonna do some non-metallic metal on his sword. It's gonna look sweet. It's gonna look awesome. Yeah. Okay. Are we dry enough yet? No, not quite. Hair dryer time. Gotta move this along. Hey, Todd. Painting a dirty space elf. The Big Mac himself, Eldrad. Ulthran. It's been sitting on my pile of opportunity for too long. It's about time I get him finished up. Besides, characters are good options for Monday night painting. Just gonna get this all touched up. Alright, and now we're gonna move on to Ushati Bone. It's a sweet model. It is a sweet model. I think it is, yeah. It's pretty neat. I think it's pretty neat. Alright, Ushati Bone. Still gotta get a vortex mixer one of these days. I'm gonna give this a good shake. that on the palette. Add a little water. Mix it in there real good. My back is sore from punching over my desk the other day, putting together that terrain. Oh yeah, that's gonna cover real nice. Glad I did that base coat of Telleran sand. I'm gonna go a little bit thinner with the Ushadi bone. It won't cover as nicely, but I'll do another coat and it'll be nice and smooth, and I think we'll get a better result. Just going over all those areas I got before. I'm not going to worry too much about the most inner parts because the Telleran sand will kind of work as a shaded version of this color that his cloak is, in addition to the natural light shading. But all these main areas of the cloak I will get with Ushadi bone. Get a nice even first coat here, and then we'll come around in for a second pass once this dries up. And I might do a lighter color after this, I'm thinking. It's got a lot of black on him, so it'll be there's a lot to lighten up here. Kind of a tricky thing with extreme colors like white and black. Some people just tend to leave them as is instead of highlighting. Black, you want to introduce some grays, and then white, you also want to introduce some grays, and leave the white for the highlights, not the main color. So I understand the sore back from being hunched over terrain. Yeah, I bet. Yeah, that display board you're working on is looking pretty awesome. Can't wait to see it when it's all done and lit up. You're gonna win a bunch of hobby points for sure at the Long War double. We're making progress over here. Thanks, it's been an interesting build. Nice. I found some cool STL files of like Gothic ruins, but they're all kind of Nurgle infected. I want to get some of those printed up at some point. So I think there's so many Death Guard players in the local group. It'd be nice to get some themed Imperial terrain that's kind of corrupted by chaos. It'd be really cool. It's on my my ever-growing, one day I'll print this backlog. I'll get there eventually, though. I'm only on the second coat of this, and it's already covering very nicely. I am quite pleased. Might even be ready for a wash shade And for this, I think I would do Seraphim Sepia. Then I'll come back in with some Ushadi Bone after that, just to kind of bring back the color. And then I'm thinking, just kind of spitballing here, maybe a 50-50 mix of Ushadi Bone with Wraith Bone. For some layering on some highlights. Then we'll move on to the black cloaks everywhere else. That does not look like a Sister of Battle, sir. You are correct. I still have not painted my Sisters of Battle yet. I haven't even assembled them. But I have some incentive. I am one rhino short of a combat patrol, so I'll probably get to them sometime over the summer. Or if I'm just, you know, feeling it one day. Kind of have like a roadmap in my mind of what I'm going to work on next. Sometimes I stick to it, sometimes I don't, because, you know, sometimes a month rolls around and you're just not feeling a particular army and you want to paint something else. Case in point, January, I really wanted to paint some Deathcore of Krieg, so that's what I did, instead of painting other stuff. I'm hoping for a bunch of hobby points. You've seen how well I do in trying to score them in game. I think you'll do alright. You got some good Death Guard, Todd. And you have a very tactical thinking teammate playing with you. My goal is to just at least win one game. If I can win at least one tournament game, I think it's a good tournament. Okay, we got some Skeleton Hood. What did I say? Seraphim Sepia? Where are you? There it is. It's not fully dry yet. I agree, you should paint what you are into. Is this the fine cast? Is this the fine model of Farseer? Ah, no, this is Eldrad, Ulthran, the biggest Mac of the Eldar craft world. He's kind of a big deal. I read a lore once about him. I actually don't know a whole lot about him, but I know he's a very old, powerful space elf. He's probably the current lore leader of the craft world, Eldar. Alright, so I'm gonna Seraphim Sepia this cloak. It may look a little strong, but I'm gonna go back with the Ushadi Bone and just kind of lighten it up a bit, but I just want to shade the inner folds of the cloak. Kind of blend those base coats together a little bit more. I mean, I guess Eldrad is... he is a Farseer, but he's not just any Farseer. He's like the Farseer. As I was mentioning earlier, he makes an appearance in the Horus Heresy, Unremembered Empire, where we learn a little bit more of the Cabal and the Perpetuals. I'm still working my way through that series, and I like how they're kind of slowly peeling back the layers of onion there. So you learn a little bit more about some of these perpetual beings and Melkador and all that good stuff. Very interesting lore. Good book. Yes, it is a good book. It's yeah, I was kind of, you know, I do like Ultramarines, but sometimes, you know, I worry that they might get a little boring or vanilla, but that book was actually very good. I like the whole interaction with Gilliman and the lion. They're both kind of keeping their secrets and trying to play nice with each other. Interesting dynamic with characters in that book. Alright, so I'm going to have to let this shade dry before I start painting some more. So what can I do in the meantime? Well, I suppose I can touch up the black on some of this. So I'm going to grab a smaller brush for that. And we're going to get some more Abaddon black. I'm just going to clean up the robes a little bit. I love the perpetuals. Yeah, they're kind of mysterious. I assume that we learn a lot more about them as the series goes on. But John Grammaticus, he's an interesting character. He's definitely up there with one of my favorite characters so far. Just probably because he's interesting, you know? Very interesting character. And then learning about the Cabal and how that all works. How there's some infighting, or maybe the Cabal doesn't know what's best. So many things to learn. But I took a break from Horus Heresy, and I am currently going through the Twice Dead King Ruin. It's book 1 of that series. There's 2 books, Ruin and Reign. It's about Necrons. It's very interesting. They kind of go into the fall of the Necron tier with flashbacks. That is a good read. I would recommend so far. I'm almost finished with it. Of course, I don't read books. I just listen to them on Audible while I paint. So I can Warhammer while I Warhammer. We're just going to clean up the outer edge of the robe. The Abaddon black. I'm still going. Oh, all person too, yeah. I'm on book 31, Legacies of Betrayal. Legacies of Betrayal. Is that the one with... No. Did you read Vengeful Spirit yet? That's the one I just finished. Vengeful Spirit. So you may have surpassed me, Todd. Never read a Black Library Offering. Well, David, I would I would recommend it. I don't know if you read other sci-fi books, or if you're into sci-fi novels. I think they're worth it. If you're interested in Horus Heresy, I would start with the first 3 books. They're kind of a connected story with the same characters, and it kind of really sets the stage for that whole setting, which is very cool. A lot of really interesting human and Space Marine characters. And they're just really good stories too. like I think the quality of the story and the writing is very good for it being a book about a universe for plastic models. Vengeful Spirit is 29. Yeah, so you have surpassed me. So now you're gonna have to keep your spoilers to yourself. Alright, I'm gonna... So now that the shade is dried, I'm gonna come back in with that Ushadi bone. Just kind of lighten it up with some water. Hopefully I didn't thin it out too much. And I'm just gonna come back over and do kind of like a glaze. And more pronounced raised areas and flat surfaces, because I don't want to undo what I did with the shade. So like this piece is kind of folded out and visible to the light, so we'll get that. And kind of down here. Of course, up going over the shoulder here. And we'll get a little bit on the inside. Just on the big patches of robe. Yeah, you know what? I think I like that. That looks good. I want to go a little bit lighter still. And then we also have... I want to do a stripe going across this inner robe. So I have that on the box art, and I think that looks really cool. So I'm going to give that a go. And for that, I'll start with the Tallarand Sand. Score 1 for the guy with the 12-hour, completely unsupervised weekend shift. Lots of time on his hand. Very good. Probably crank your way through those books. Gonna work my way carefully around here, kind of eyeballing the distance from the bottom of the robe as my guide. This is gonna bend and weave all over the place. At least one a week. Holy cow. I'm like one a month. Because I have this issue. Sometimes when I sit down and paint, I'm like, oh, I should continue my audiobook. But sometimes I just want to listen to music. Or throw on a battle report and watch that in the background. I should say, I listen to it in the background because I don't really do a whole lot of watching when I'm painting. Or a good Luton lore video. Those are always good. So the stripe isn't perfect, but I think it's looking not too shabby. Having some unfrayed brushes really does a lot. I think a lot of beginners think they're horrible painters when they're not, you know, doing themselves any favors. Their brushes are all just all over the place and in real poor shape. I watched a ton of lore too. Yeah. There's so much lore. I mean, when you have a hobby in a setting that just kind of sucks people in for so many hours, they obsess over it for so long, yeah, you're going to get some really interesting um, lore deep dives and whatnot. Such a very enthusiastic fan base. It's wonderful. Clean up this line back here a little bit. It's amazing stuff, that it is. So hopefully this line work is clean enough. There's a couple spots where it's a little shaky, but overall, I'm very pleased with it. I think it looks good. Anywhere else like that? I see he's got some on his helmet, but I'll come back to that later. So yeah, let's lighten up the robes just a little bit more. I'm gonna bring in some Wraithbone next. Like a lighter Ushadi bone. It's an interesting universe to be sure. That it is. So, looks like they're teasing Age of Sigmar. I saw in Warhammer Community. I didn't watch the video they released, but they're probably, you know, priming everyone up for Adepticon for their big reveal, because last year was 40k 10th edition, so per the schedule, Age of Sigmar is next for the new edition, so they're probably going to do the big Adepticon reveal like they did 40k. So that'll be cool. I guess I don't know. I'm not really into Age of Sigmar, but Sigmar lied. That's right. I didn't watch it. Did you watch it? Was it any good? I just saw the title of it. Okay, so I'm just gonna layer up these bright areas with this Wraithbone Ushadi bone mixture. This sash here. And we got this fold of the cloth here. Gonna get that real good. This needs to be watered down even more. This Wraithbone paint is very, very opaque, has great coverage, which is kind of fighting with what I want it to do right now. Maybe I should have started with that. More water. And we'll get down in here. It's a Warhammer thing. The Emperor couple have saved the universe so much bullshit by not lying about the existence of gods. Good. I did not. I saw the trailer. I don't think anything actually comes out until the 20th. Yeah, I know the first day of Adepticon, Games Workshop has their special preview thing, so I'll be attending that. That'll be interesting to see what they announce. I'm just hoping they announce some cool stuff for 40K as well. Maybe a new Gene Stealer cult model to inspire me to crack open my combat patrol and other stuff and get caught up on that army. It's always a struggle. All right, let's paint. I guess we'll start working on the robes. I'm going down Thursday, coming back Saturday. Excellent. Yeah, I'm going down Wednesday and coming back probably Sunday, or maybe end of Saturday. I might stay for Sunday. I haven't decided. We'll see how worn out I am. Although I think I do have a hotel for blanking on Saturday night, so I will be there. Maybe leave Sunday morning or hang out and then go home. We'll see. I might be totally Warhammered out or miniatured out, but it'll be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. Some good stuff. All right, so we're gonna go around with Eshin Gray. And do I want to start with a smaller brush? No, I don't. I think a size 0 is good. This is just a cheapo brush I got from my stocking from Santa. I mean, Amazon.com. These Amazon brushes work pretty well until the tips start to fray, but until then, you know, they're just as good. All right, let's just start with the edge of the robe here. I might want to start layering in some maybe some Corvus black. Or I'll let the Eshin Gray do its work. If I just really water this down so it's a little bit more transparent. Right, this piece right here is going to be a different color, so I'm just going to ignore that for now. Just focus on anywhere where I see this robe. Anywhere where the light catches it. So I got some good lighting in my painting desk here, so I can see where I need to focus the layers. Just kind of really emphasize those natural highlights that you get and push them to the extreme. I am not going. Oh, that's too bad. It's I live fairly close to the event, so it's not too far of a drive for me. If I lived further, I probably wouldn't be going either. I'm mainly going just because it's so darn close. I'm just going to go around here and grab the edge of the robe. This Eshin Gray. Oh boy. Got a lot of work to do back here. Okay, I must go back to my dungeon and do Nurgle's work. Have a good night, guys. You too, Todd. Go work on that awesome display board. You only have so much time left before the big event. Yeah, so part of the reason why I wanted to work on Eldrad is because I wanted to get some practice working on black. Painting black. I just got some good practice painting white with my Apothecary Biologus. And now I want to get some practice painting black. Just kind of working on those layers and highlights. I'm gonna try to get the edge here of his robes. I think this is turning out pretty good so far. I'm happy. So I think, what time is it already? It's 8 o'clock. Okay, so I've been at this for about an hour. That's not too bad. I think this is probably gonna be a 2-streamer. At the rate things are going, which is okay by me. I'm in no rush to finish this off, so. Gonna work on layering in the cloak. Now that might be a little too light. So what I'm gonna do is take some of the Abaddon Black off to the side here, and I'm gonna mix in some Eshin Gray, kind of make my own Corvus Black mixture. I could just crack open the Corvus Black too, but I got the colors right here. Might as well just, you know, use what's on my palette. It's all gonna go to waste anyways, otherwise. So I'm gonna mix in some water here. So I got like a very, very dark gray, grimy black color. I'm gonna go back over these big areas on the cloak. I don't know how well this is coming up on the camera, but it's very subtle, but I'm hoping building up these layers, it'll kind of look a little bit more natural and less extreme. Yeah, like up here, it's gonna kind of heavily apply this layering. Over on this part of the robe, just trying to really add some variation in the coloring on some of these big exposed panels on his robes. Working up from the black just to make it a little bit more interesting instead of just black, you know? It's the tricky thing with painting black and painting white. You're working in shades of gray, usually. Yeah, I'm liking the way that looks. Got a little bit here too. This big panel here. and his undersleeve. Just kind of slowly building up those layers. Working our way up to the lighter highlights. While still leaving the darkest black in the recesses. A little bit on the hands and the fingers. Yeah, I like that. Alright, we're going to come back in with the Eshin Gray. Get some more black and kind of clean up this inner fold here. I think I went a little too heavy with the gray. Just want to darken that up a little bit. I suppose I could go over this with some Nuln oil too. Just kind of blend it all together when I'm done. But we'll see. I also don't want to ruin it. I'm going to focus the Eshin Gray on these ridges here. Where the highlight needs to be a little bit more sharp. And then continue on these other ridges. His witch staff is kind of in the way. Get some water on there, mix it in. I want these to be I want this color to be nice and thin so it's not too overpowering. So another secret or trick for highlights is work with very thin paint, but not too thin, because you don't want it to be like a wash consistency, but when it's nice and thin, it goes on. You have a lot of control over how it goes on, and you can kind of build it up more instead of it being so intense right off the bat. So I'm going to work around the bottom edge here of his robes, this gray color, this Eshin Gray. And then we'll introduce a lighter gray for some sharper highlights. I'm thinking Dawnstone. Or maybe a Dawnstone Eshin Gray mixture. I haven't quite decided yet. We'll see how intense Dawnstone looks. Might be very bright, but that might be okay. Take a look at the Model GW website. Hope you have enough sanity for this one. It's funny you mentioned that. I have a picture of it pulled up for reference. It's I looked at it, I'm like, oh, that doesn't look so hard. And then as I'm painting it, I'm like, oh yeah, you know, this is it's like, oh, it's just black, you know? It's just black. It's yeah, there's a lot to it. I think I'm off to a good start though. I'm pretty happy with how it's looking so far. Alright, I like that for now. Let's bring in some more lighter gray. I'll bring in some Dawnstone. Get some of that on my palette. Pull in some of this Eshin Gray. just to kind of darken this Dawnstone just a hair. Because I can always have so many grays I could pull in to lighten it up, so I'll do this slowly and controlled. Alright, now coming back around again. Very focused on where this goes. Just focusing on the sharpest folds for now. Maybe the inside of this more soft highlight. Just the inside though, to kind of suggest a crease or a sharper fold. Yeah, I think that's working. It's coming along. Still pretty subtle, but building it up ever so slowly. Now, I probably normally wouldn't go this intense for painting something with black cloaks, but it is Eldrad after all. It's a very important character model, so I feel like him being such an important character, I'm going to try to do him justice with a good paint scheme. Kind of like if I was painting Calgar or Reboot Gilliman. Alright, so I'm going to try to get the edge of his cloak down here. This mostly Dawnstone mixture. Okay, now onto the back side of the cloak. Yeah, it's looking great. I'm enjoying the process. Oh, good. I'm enjoying the process too. It's just kind of working our way slowly around here. You know, it'll take as long as it takes. Trying to build patience because I get very impatient when I paint sometimes. And I end up rushing and making stupid little mistakes. Just gonna build up the folds here and the highlights on the back here by his power pack underneath his robes. Nice sharp crease here. Just gonna emphasize that. Also, when I'm doing highlights and the paint is nice and thin, if you want to emphasize the highlight more, you can just go over it with a second coat. And just kind of intensifies it instead of having to move up in paint shade. You know, instead of getting a whole new paint out, you can just do another pass with the same one, and that can add enough highlight to satisfy what you're looking for. I don't want to overdo it. I don't want to overdo it. I still want it to look very black. I think that's a pretty good start for now. Just looking at my reference picture here. I could start working on the helmet. I think I'm gonna continue with the theme of the robes and work on this center sash piece he has. Now that looks like it's a very deep, rich purple, which I think is awesome. So for that, I am going to use Xerxes purple and probably wash it with some gnome oil to darken it up a bit. And we'll see. I might actually mix the Xerxes purple with maybe a little bit of Abaddon black just to make it even darker. This is a very dark purple. So I'm just going to take some of this purple. I'll split it into 2 piles here. So I'll probably want to use the straight up Xerxes purple to build up the color a little bit. Clean out my brush. I'm going to grab just a tiny bit of Abaddon black. Mix that in here. A little bit of black paint will go a long way. Just a tiny bit more. Yeah, that's looking nice and dark. Add some water in here. And start painting this robe. Oh yeah, it's a nice dark purple. I'm liking that. So be very careful not to screw up everything else I just painted. So I'm sliding my brush up underneath that wraith bone center bling armor piece he's got there. I don't know what you'd call that. I struggle to describe what I'm painting sometimes. And we'll also do the sash, the center sash in purple. And then we'll add the yellow on the edges later. Just getting that base color down. Anywhere else that needs to be purple? No, that's about it. Okay. Get the bottom of the sash here. Try to get on the other side of it. I think that's about as much as I'm gonna get. Alright, I'm gonna let this dry. And then go in for another coat, I think. While that dries, I'm gonna grab my small brush, the number 0 again, and we're gonna build up some more highlights on his gloves and shoulder plates. I'm just looking at the reference picture. Yeah, we'll start building up the highlights elsewhere. A little bit of Eshin Gray left. I'm going to try to use that as is. Might have to add some more to my palette, but just going to come around these edges on the helmet. So kind of similar to how I do the highlights on Space Marine armor. I want this Eshin Gray to come out a little bit further from the edge than the lighter gray color to kind of help build that gradient, pushing from dark or base color to highlight. I'm gonna need some more Eshin Gray on my palette. Here we go. I've used it all up. And get some water in there. Every paint's a little different. How much water you need to add and how many layers and coats it needs, how well it covers. I used to not be a fan of Eshin Gray, but just because it's a base paint, but it doesn't cover very well. But I'm starting to appreciate it when it comes to doing highlights over black, because that lack of strength and coverage is actually, I'm using that to my advantage, so I can kind of layer it a little bit more controlled. Just working my way around these sharp edges, hard edges. I'm looking forward to checking out all the Golden Demon entries at Adepticon. Part of me says, like, oh, I bet you if I spent enough time, I might be able to enter a Golden Demon and do alright. I don't know. But then again, you see the stuff that those guys paint, and it is very impressive. It's a little humbling. So I'm really looking forward to checking that out. Maybe get some inspiration. See what the trends are. There's always like trends in painting, it seems. I know there's one where they do like pre-shade with an airbrush with like very bright, vibrant colors, like blue and purple or something, or purple and teal, and then they'll paint over that. Can't even imagine all the skill on display at Golden Demon. Yeah, I was blown away last year. So they had like a bunch of glass display cases going around, and you could just walk and see all the different submissions, and it was just like, oh my gosh, I've never seen miniatures like that before. It was very awesome. I think I'm gonna bring my cameras as well. Maybe record some stuff here and there while I'm at Adepticon and put together a little, almost like vlog style video. We'll see. See how committed I am to that. I also want to, enjoy my time there, so we'll see. Got the edges there, and the rest of the helmet. Oh, we got some. Just gonna kind of come down the sides of these bulbs, these round guys on the helmet. Oh, around the face mask. Okay, I'll get the ridge around the eye. Oof. Yeah, it's this is intense. See, there's a spot on the helmet I need to touch up where his robe color got on there, so I'm gonna quickly do that with some Ababada down black. Clean up that highlight there a little bit. Yeah, so we got these ridges on the side of his helmet. I'm going to try to carefully highlight the edge of that. So far, so good. Come around this side here. Yep, like it. I like it. Time for the other side of his helmet. It's almost like a gold color. He's got accent colors on his helmet. Looking at the box art for him. It's almost like a non-metallic gold. Debating if I want to try to recreate that effect. So it will definitely not be as good. But sometimes trying stuff you don't know how to do is how you learn how to do it. So maybe I will. We shall see. The jury's out. Alright, so let's get these fingers color built up a little bit more. So I know he's got some kind of similar stuff on his witch staff, but I'm just going to leave the whole witch staff alone for now. I'll probably just tackle that separately, probably next week at the rate things are going. But I'm okay with that. I think it'll be good. Oh, maybe like a Baylor Brown on the Wraithbone pieces. Gold. No, it's like a gold color mixed with Wraithbone. Oh, I think it's just Wraithbone shaded. Yeah. Trying to deconstruct the box art. Try to figure out how they did it. I'm gonna lighten up this color going around, the stripe going around the bottom of his robe. I have the small brush out. I'm gonna mix some Wraithbone with a little bit of Taller and Sand to create almost a Ushadi bone color here on my palette. I'll mix in some water. It's nice and thin. Alright, I'm gonna come in with my smaller brush here and just kind of add that second layer. And I'm gonna actually try to thin this out even more. Yeah, pretty sure that's Wraithbone, which makes sense for Eldar. Yeah. Everything's Wraithbone. Their buildings, their ships, their weapons, their armor. While I got this out, I'm going to try to clean up the edges on these robes that are flying out here. The underside. Oh my. There's a lot going on with this model. It like doesn't look like it at first, but then the more you look, the more stuff you see, and it's just like, oh, I see what's going on here. Okay. Peeling back the layers. Get some more. Finish up this line here before I jump around too much. I get distracted easily. There. Yeah, that's looking much better. Alright, so the purple. You know, I was going to do another coat, but the way it gets darker in here because it's thinner, I think is actually what I want. So, I'm going to shade it down with some Druchii Violet, which I did not close all the way last time I painted. Oops. My bad. Yeah, the front of that guy is busy. He's got a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff going on. So, I'll see how this looks. I might just end up going over this with Nuln Oil. But sometimes these colored washes give a better effect for darkening that color. So, or maybe I'll end up going over it with the wash and Nuln Oil. Oh, I see he's got like the box art. They kind of free-handed this Eldar eye on this inner sash. Oh, that looks intense. I wonder if I could do that. Well, it might be worth a try. I'm feeling bold. But yeah, I think it's time to bust out some of this yellow. I'll do Everland Sunset. Initially. And then I'll layer in some... Do I have the right shade of yellow? Maybe some Phoenix Flames? No. Yellow's a tricky color for me. Flash gets... Uriel? Maybe a mixture. Flash gets... Because this is a very yellow. And this is kind of like a muted yellow. Great for base coat. And then again, how does it look next to the other colors on the model? That's another question. So let's answer that first question. Let's start with Uriel Yellow. I mean, Everland Sunset. Initially. And we'll decide from there. Uh-oh. Yes. Well, I think I'm off to a good start. Maybe. Yellow's a tricky color. I have a hard time getting the... You know how you have like the color and then it shifts like cooler or warmer. On the color wheel, I have a hard time with yellow for some reason. Gauging which way the shift happens between these different colors. Yeah, I think maybe mixing in some flash gits will get me the shade I'm looking for. We shall see. Or maybe mixing this color with Wraithbone. I don't know. Well, I can always do a little test spot and see how it looks. Flash gets yellow. Oh! This yellow is very yellow. Very yellow. This is like the yellowiest yellow. I'm gonna mix this with Everland Sunset. Bring it back down to like a mustard. Yeah, yellow's a hard color. I'm just gonna add a little bit here and we'll see how it looks. I think that is close to the shade of yellow I want. And ironically, I think this is... I may have just mixed my own Uriel yellow. Funny, sometimes it works out that way. For the longest time, I didn't have certain paints because I was like, oh, I know, I can just mix that paint with these two paints. But it is nice having the correct mixture always ready to go. Yeah, you can get by with less paints if you kind of understand mixing a little bit. Experiment with mixing. Yeah, of course he's got all these Eldar runes going down his sash. I wonder, I actually might have some decals I could try to cheat. Stick on there. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. Alright. That purple is looking alright. I think I like that. Maybe. Yeah, no, I think I like the purple. I think I like the purple. Let's do the eye. I'm gonna try to paint the eye. The Eldar crying eye. Well, first things first, I'm gonna take Everland Sunset, and we want yellow on the edge here. About yay thick going up. Just kind of blocking out some of this details. Oh, I screwed up. That's too thick. Yeah, that's too thick. Just a little too thick. So I'm going to take this purple. Clean it up a little bit. I'm going to take more black purple mixture. Very thin. add some water, and do a little bit of wet blending to kind of fix where the wash would have been. There we go. It's as if it never happened. I'm probably doing this off camera. I'm focusing so hard and pulling it too close. Okay. Let's get some of that Everland sunset. Get down the side here. Get up behind this Wraithbone pendant hanging from his waist here. And I'm going to try to carry this yellow stripe all the way up the sash. Trying to make it clean. So, just trying to block in the main half of it here, and then I can go back in and add the extra coats as needed. I'm gonna need some more. Everland sunset. Okay. Eldar Eye. Crying the tears of Isha. I don't know what I'm saying. It could be true. Okay. So let's try to block out this freehand detail. Oh boy, I'm scared. Here we go. Alright, we do have a line going across about here. So I'm going to get that drawn. Gotta get that thinner Everland so I have a little bit more control over what I'm doing here. That's the key to clean lines. Thin paint. I don't freehand often. Okay. Let's I'm gonna zoom in. There we go. Okay, so we have trying to figure out the eye shape. So it looks like it kind of goes around. There's like a. Of course, I stalled too long. My paint dried. All right, let's try again. All right, so we have a little doohickey here. Comes around. Comes up around this way. Like that, and then we got goes like that, and then we have an inner line goes roughly like that. Come around, down, and over. Come over like there. And this comes down like that. It's a little rough. It's a little rough. And then we have a tier off to the side. Oh, that tier's not bad. I like the tier. The tier's good. I'm not crying. I'm just gonna try to fill in. I think if I just kind of clean up these lines a little bit, so all look a little bit more intentional. Yikes. I don't know, how's this looking? Does it look a little too messy? Let me try to clean that up a little bit. I think I need a finer tip brush for that. That's definitely not this brush. Where's my Reaper? My Reaper miniature brush. One of them. I have another one that's even better. More better. Oops. Size 1. Nope. Collect brushes. Here we go. Reaper miniature brush. Very small. Gotta make sure we have enough water on this paint mixture. Okay. So I'm gonna come in here with the little Reaper brush. With the purple black mixture. Just try to clean up some of these lines. And then we'll come back in with the Everland Sunset. And clean up the rest. Clean up the yellow. It's not perfect, but I don't think it's bad. Could be better, but I think it is I think it's good enough to keep for now. If I absolutely hate it, I'll redo it. Then we'll get this other line going across here, and then I'll try to fill in the yellow a little bit more confidently here, so that that purple is not showing through. Yellow and purple, fun colors. this nice gold colored trim on the sash going all the way down. This is why I cannot win a golden demon. Can't freehand. Thread the needle. And then we will get the top and bottom of the sash going around his waist. Not too shabby. A little shabby, but not too shabby. I think on its own it looks okay, but when you look at the box art, it does not look okay. But we'll get that brighter yellow in here. For consistency. That tier. I'm actually happy with the way the tier itself looks. The eye, not so much. Not too happy about the eye. It's very tricky. Yeah, definitely need to give my free hand a little bit of practice. Alright, let's clean up this purple just a little bit. Specifically, these lines. We got some overspill with the yellow. Just make these look a little cleaner. I think that'll go a long way. It's all right. I think I'm okay keeping it for now. Zoom back out. It looks better from further away. But yeah, this is good progress. So this is definitely gonna be a multi-night stream. But I'm feeling good about the cloak highlighting and shading we've done there, the inner cloak, the purple sash. Yeah, you know, I'm just gonna add a little bit of. I'm gonna build up the highlights just a little bit on the purple. While I have the paint on my palette before it kind of dries out on me. So like. I could also start to freehand the runes going down the side. You know what? That actually might not be a bad idea. While I'm at it, you know? So for that, I'm going to need Abaddon Black. Very thinned out. Not too thin. Yeah. Is this brush going to be fine enough for me? I think so. Alright, so I'm just going to copy the runes that you see in the box art because they are fine. So just as a form of reference, we have a line going across right about here. And then there's a rune. Alright, so we're going to start at the top here at the shoulder. Rune going over like that. And then I see, it goes over, down, down over here. Oh man. Like that. We got rune like that. Comes down. Ah, this is like the avatar of Cain. Snaky rune. Maybe it's just Cain, I don't know. Okay. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Hold on tight, boys, he's going in. Yeah. It's getting intense. Alright, so the next one is... Oh, okay, so we got a triangle. And then... comes down. It's almost like calligraphy. And we got some dots. Okay. Oh geez, what have I got myself into? Alright, so we're going across. And then... it's okay if these aren't perfect, as long as they look like runes. That's all that really matters. Alright, then we got a... okay, this next shape is interesting. I also need to track where I am as far as going down the side of the sash here. Okay, so we have going across. And we have another one. And it kind of comes down. That. Over like that. Okay, Got another one of these. Run across like that. Up and over like that. Yep, We got like a little sideways S squiggle thing. Like that. Two horizontal bars. Oh, and then we got, okay, another one of these. A fork comes down, across. I did it. I did it. One side. One side's done. Not too bad. I'll do an edge highlight with Wraithbone. Kind of faded in a little bit, but yeah, okay. Okay. One side's down. I think I should do the other. Nice. Thank you. This one's even more challenging, I think. Just with the way it's flowing. Alright, so we'll start up with the top. Yeah, okay, I know the shape. Although I do have the benefit of doing similar shapes all over again. Maybe I can do these quicker too. Kind of seems like so far so good. Come on, brush, don't do this to me. Oh, too wet, too wet, too wet. Okay, this is better. Better consistency. We're gonna do another one of these. Pitchfork. Come down. Bar. Snag it a snag. Alright, that was my worst rune yet. Over. Down. Over. And curly Q. Alright. Get some more. Man, this is tricky getting that right consistency with the paint. It is most tricky. Alright, so we got a triangle. Come down. Cross. Oh, we got the Sam Heim. Oh, that's not so bad. Just gotta get the, I've run out of space compared to the box art. But no one's gonna know. It'll be okay. Okay. So this is what we got for Eldrad's runes going down his... They are okay. I think they're okay. I think once everything else is painted too, it'll look good, because it looks a little strange that this is so highly detailed and the rest of it's just kind of not. So, but yeah, I think this is a great start, and I will be picking this up next week. I will be doing no more freehand next week. All the freehand has been done. I wanted to get it out of the way and get the main bit of his robes down. Once I paint the other details, I may go back and even build up these edge highlights down here a little bit brighter. Just, you know, kind of to push it, make it pop just a little bit more. It's kind of hard to do that right now with the way things look, because the rest of the details aren't filled in or painted or colored. So anything I do in that regard is going to look really extreme, and I'm just not sure how it's going to look. So yeah, we're going to work on the rest of the details next week. His witch staff, his sword, finish up the helmet, and yeah, build up the highlights and keep on rocking and rolling. But I'm very happy with how this is coming together. I knew he'd be a challenging model to paint, especially with all that going on with the sash. But yeah, so far so good. So I'm going to leave us with this tonight, and we'll pick this up next week. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. And if you're catching this after the stream has gone, I'll be back next week. I stream every Monday evenings at 7 p.m. Central Time. Paint some Warhammer or other miniatures, but it's been Warhammer mostly. But yeah, check out the rest of the stuff on the channel, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching. See you, David. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.